All right, Dr. Jay Shetlin here and live from Tijuana. All right, so Dr. Shetlin here with my crazy background again. I'm doing all these backgrounds so you don't have to look at my hotel room in Tijuana where I'm down helping my wife with her treatments for cancer, which they're doing natural stuff to boost her immune system. It's awesome. And today we have a special guest. This is Marie Starling. Did I say it right?
Yeah, Dr. Marie Starling. Yeah,
Dr. Marie Starling, woo! And she's practicing in Colorado, and she's a functional medicine practitioner. And the cool thing with what she does is she really helps dial in your immune system naturally with nutrition and such. So I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away and give us a little more information on who you are and what you do. Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jay. So I'm Dr. Starling, and I practice in Denver, Colorado, and I own a practice called the Healing Center. And I specialize in autoimmune cases and complex issues, GI issues, hypothyroid, diabetes, fatigue, stuff like that. And the reason is because I'm the president of the Hot Mess Club. So I've been in practice for a while, and I am a chiropractor by training, and I have a bunch of additional diplomates and degrees. But really, it was because I wanted to figure out how to make myself healthy. So I was really pulled toward understanding and looking at root issues, and I really honed how to get to root issues rather than treating symptoms. Because in traditional medicine, we have a tendency to look at symptoms and then line it up with a drug or a surgery or a treatment, and that's what we do. But that really is end stage. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at patients who are very complicated, I have to get to the very foundational components of what's going on. And there's only 3 things that go wrong with anyone's body. It's actually kind of simple, mm-hmm. and which is kind of fun. There's something missing that they need, something there that shouldn't be, or there's vicious loops driving circles, right? So creating inflammation. And so when we have an inflamed body, then that's when we have trouble. So we're dealing with, in particular, viruses currently at a pandemic level. And my philosophy is very simple. It's the best vaccination is a healthy immune system. Reason is because then viruses only implant in unhealthy cells. And so there's a reason why the majority, 50 to 80% of the people don't have symptoms who get this virus. And there's sort of this conversation in the world that you have no power and there's nothing you can do. And I think it's complete nonsense. So I put together this 10-day immune reboot course, which I'm giving away for free because I want people to understand that they have power and to be able to kickstart their own systems, and that the roots of what's those small things over a long period of time done repetitively are what actually get us in the hole, right? It's not you ate sugar one day, it's that you eat sugar every day, or that you put yourself in high stress situations all the time, or you're chronically sleep deprived, or you don't have enough nutrition from your diet, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where I put this course together, was to actually help people reset and decrease inflammation, because inflammation is the root of all disease. And when you have an inflammatory response that's chronic, that's where people have trouble with this virus. They actually, 94% of the people in the US who die have comorbidities, which means they have other stuff going on.
Absolutely. And
that's the problem. So when you start to diminish the load on the body, your body can actually handle. We evolved to deal with viruses, mm-hmm. So we have coronavirus every year. We call it the cold. This one's just a little more aggressive and more communicable, and that's legit. But you can do some really powerful stuff to boost your immune system.
I love how simply you put all that. That's awesome. So basically what we're saying, and what I hope the audience gets, is that viruses this year and every year are opportunistic, and they only take hold when our immune system is compromised. So if we do the right steps to boost and strengthen our immune system, we're less likely to get that disease. Is that what we understand?
You nailed it. That's exactly it. Like, we have to get that. So there's like 4 categories. If you think of your health, right? And so the beautiful opportunity of this is that it's really shining a light on how do you build health. People are really like, how do I build health? They're asking these questions, which I think are very, very important. So if you think of your system, you have basically the unbalanced state. That's when you're below the line. And then you have homeostasis. That's where your body can naturally balance itself. And then you have the enhanced state where this is where people start biohacking and doing things to like boost their system. And then you can even get into like an optimized state where you're operating at peak performance the majority of the time. But anytime you have any kind of symptom or any kind of illness, especially chronic, you are in that unbalanced state. And so you really have to ask, like, what is it that's unbalanced? And then when you can get to very foundational components, and I call them the 10 pillars of health, there's like 10 main things that you can do to boost health. And those are the areas that get out of balance when we're in that area where we have symptoms, that unbalanced state. So that's how I like to think of it.
Great. That's pretty clear. Well, even in today's concerns with Corona or COVID, they're starting to say, okay, some of these sideline things, like you say, they're all inflammatory problems. One article I was reading today was obesity was the #1 most concerning one. And of course, we're chronically inflamed if we're obese, for sure. So that makes us more susceptible to these things. So what's some of your favorite tools to use to help people get out of that inflammatory cycle?
Well, that's what I put in this course, which is kind of fun. So there's a dietary component, right, which is a very low inflammation diet. And there's 3 levels, right? There's the best level, which includes like an all liquid smoothie, soups, fasting,
Mm-hmm.
like 10 days, and it's laid out very clearly. And then there's a moderate, which is solid food with some fasting. And then there's a gentlest, which is for like people who are just kind of stepping into this. And that is going to be like a low inflammation, so all food and they can do some intermittent fasting if they want. And then in addition to that, I've done videos on how, like, there's stress management tools. This is like basically what I do for my patients. Only when you're a patient, you get the customized version for you. And we also look at pathogens and heavy metals and mold toxicities and things like that, which I can't really do in this.
Sure.
So you actually do this very low inflammation diet. It completely breaks blood sugar imbalances and spikes and drops, which are very inflammatory for a number of reasons, which I won't get into because I want to take too long on this one. But we go through that. We go through sleep. Sleep is probably the most important component for healing. There's a number of things that happen with proper sleep. And one is like when you prime your immune system when you're getting drowsy at night.
Mm-hmm.
And then through the night, you're actually healing. And so it's super critical to get enough sleep. And chronic sleep deprivation, even one night, can trigger like this epigenetic expression where it changes your genetic expression, and it can last for days, those impacts. So sleep is super, super critical. So that's a component that's in there, and a number of other things. And so it's really fun because it lays it out for you and helps you navigate. And then we do like a Zoom call every Thursday as well for free. It's like just my gift. I really am just committed that we know and have access.
That's awesome. What a great thing you've done for the community. I'm going to go ahead and through this video have your link keep popping up so people can see that link and find you and find out more information on that. Is there anything else special you want to share with the group today?
The other thing that we put in the video are nutrients that they can take. And so immune cells love nutrients, right? So, and they're well researched and they're very simple. So we kept it really simple. Vitamin D, critical for immune function. Vitamin A and E are going to help increase the mucosal barrier, and you need a healthy mucosal barrier to keep stuff out. And you need enough what's called secretory IgA, which is something produced by the immune system to make sure that it can fight on the first line of defense, right? So those are some really powerful things. And then vitamin C, of course, is going to help your immune cells deal directly with viruses very effectively. And then we use like EGCG and quercetin, which lowers viral attachment to the cells. It actually inhibits viral attachment. And then if you're inflamed, you can add things like glutathione, turmeric. Those are some of the ones that we recommend as well. And it's all kind of listed out. And then we also give you access to order nutraceutical grade supplements directly from the companies that we order from if you want to, which I always recommend. And I talk a little bit about why that matters, because they're not all the same, the nutrient level qualities. So we give you access to that as well in this.
Fascinating. Well, that's amazing because all the things you listed off, almost all of those are also on the cancer fighting stuff. So it seems like so interesting how our immune system fights viruses, bacteria, and cancer. I mean, that's its job. And yet we sometimes don't look at helping it in that rudimentary level of helping boost the immune system to fight these things. We're always looking for some other outside in thing to help us with a symptom or a problem. I love the simplicity of this and the support, the natural immune boosting support that you've put together. That's fantastic.
I think the most important thing is that people know that they have power. We're
Mm-hmm.
sort of in the middle of this, and there's a whole lot of pieces to that, right? But we're sort of in the middle of this, wait till there's a vaccination, and there's a whole lot of problems with vaccination in and of itself, right? There's short-term gains and there's short-term problems, and there's long-term gains and there's long-term problems. And the long-term problems and short-term problems are almost always ignored as like this panacea. And just because we've a flu vaccine doesn't mean flu's gone. It's not going to be gone.
Right.
We need to actually boost our immune system as we come back, because it's not a matter of if, but when we're going to get exposed to this virus. And we need to not have a major response to it. That's what actually causes the problem. And I can go into the mechanism if you want of how it works.
It wouldn't be if you can share that, that'd be great.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's really interesting. So this particular coronavirus, so coronavirus is a common type of virus, and this is called COVID-19, right? Because it was discovered in 2019. It's that particular version. It's got a very high transmission rate. So it's about a 3-person infection rate per every person who has it, versus the flu, which has a 1-to-1. That's why it's a higher transmission rate, infection rate rather. And about 50 to 80% of the people who have it have no symptoms. And in the US, about 94% of people who die have comorbidities, which means multiple issues going on. And those people. And so the mechanism is pretty interesting when you just kind of look at it like scientifically. What happens is the virus attacks what's called the surfactant cells in the lungs, which are the things, the cells that produce the stuff that makes the alveoli not stick together so that you can get oxygen or air into them. That allows the transfer of gas, right? So oxygen in, carbon dioxide out. And then what happens is when that virus implants into those cells, it takes it over and it starts producing more viral components, which then go out and spread and infect other cells. And the immune system's response is to go in, so you have vasodilation, so you have an increase in the leakiness of the blood vessels, which allows the immune cells to get into those areas, which creates inflammation, which is a natural response of an immune reaction. It's too much inflammation that's the problem. So when that continues to progress because your body's hyperreactive, then you end up having all these inflammatory like exudates, like pieces coming in, stuff coming in, and it starts to put pressure on the alveoli as well as a diminishment of the surfactant. And then what happens is you end up with what's called viral pneumonia, which is what people from the flu also die from. And it's where you can't breathe because you can't fill up your alveoli with oxygen. And so you end up having a problem actually exchanging gases, and that's what we die from. So that's the mechanism of why this one is so bad, is because of the inflammatory process in people who are hyperinflamed.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being with us today. So I'm looking forward to sharing this with friends and loved ones around the world. Thank you so much for your time. Any closing thoughts before we just wrap it up?
Well, I mean, yes, I'm not a virologist or an immunologist, obviously. And so take that into consideration that I'm not an expert in viral loading. What I'm good at is actually helping the immune system work properly. And so that's what I'm giving people access to, because it is well within our power to change how our body is functioning. And that's my real commitment for sure. But just so you know, I'm not a virologist.
No, that's great. And thanks for sharing that. And I think it's important because what you shared with us helps give us a better offense. I think the best defense in the virology world and the bacterial world is best offense is a good defense. Did I say that right? Okay. All right. So
exactly right. That's we have this idea, I think, that we have no power against stuff, but we evolved for all of our lifetime, all of the virus, parasites, and fungus. We're designed to deal with them.
Correct.
We're
Absolutely.
actually designed, as long as we don't get in the way. So it's really a matter of getting out of the way of letting our body work. And we don't need heroic measures then. Then we lower the load on our healthcare system.
And it's so beautiful the way you're pointing that out, because I think if we can just really simplify this, if we're going to have that good defense and we're designed to live among and fight and evolve past these pathogens, we need to understand that it is still a world of survival of the fittest. And to be fit is to have a healthy immune system that can adapt. And to be not be fit, or unfortunately to be susceptible or even dead from these things, is to have a weakened immune system. So we are empowered when we strengthen our immune system.
Having said that, I'm susceptible. Like, I'm one who would have a serious issue. Like, I have been very diligently working to boost my system. Like, I am one of those people. So this is a serious issue when you have problems.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. And I'm grateful that we have acute care measures for that, right? Like, I'm really like no kidding. I have a niece who flew to New York to work in the ER, right? Like, to work in the hospital. So I'm really a fan of the people who are putting their lives on the line to do this work.
Absolutely.
And I want to minimize their load by helping people be healthy so they can not be in that situation, myself included. This is really me just scratching my own itch. This is what I need.
No, it's great. No, it's awesome. Because if you have something that helps you and you figured it out and it can help others, please share. So thank you for doing that. That's awesome. Well, sure love having you with us today. Thanks so much for your time, and good luck with spreading the word with your program that you're sharing. And thank you for sharing it for free to the world. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you.